All right, and welcome back. We are here with our franchise mode Calgary Flames NHL 18. Welcome to episode number 39, and here we go. The fun officially begins. It's July 1, 2020, and we are set to make a flurry, of moves here to improve the Calgary Flames in this offseason. So yes, welcome back to episode number 39 with our franchise mode, the Calgary Flames. If you did not watch the last couple episodes, what was it, 2 episodes ago, we made it to the Stanley Cup Final, lost at the hands here of the Carolina Hurricanes. It's been a busy offseason thus far. We had to, in the last episode, we had to re-sign quite a number of players, including Andrew Mangiapane, Mark Jankowski, and TJ Brody was our big one, and we got those guys locked up. We made some pretty big contracts. Let's go here, a few contracts. We made some pretty big signings, I should say, to lock up those guys. So we did bring back TJ Brody, which was a huge ad, but we did lose a lot of depth guys. So can I go by recently signed? I think I can here. So no, it's not going to show us who we signed in the re-signing phase, but we did make a lot of signings. TJ Brody, like I said, was our biggest one. We got him for 2 years at 6.3. That's exactly what he was asking for. He was asking for just under 6. We raised it to 6.3 to ensure we brought him back, yeah, we went from there. So, anyways, we did lose quite a few depth guys. I'm not going to get into it too much because it happened all in the last video. This is going to be a long one because we have a lot to get to in this one. Again, if you did not watch the last episode, episode 38, I suggest you do go back and watch that before, because this is a carry-on from episode 38. We are ready to reconstruct our team sort of here. Again, if you haven't been watching the last couple episodes, we made it to the Stanley Cup Finals for 2 years in a row, lost the Stanley Cup at the hands of Tampa and then Carolina this year. So we're kind of reconstructing our team slightly, not too much, but we are going to reconstruct our team. We've been a very top-heavy offensive team our entire tenure here with the Calgary Flames, so we are now going to try and balance out our team, and that's been our objective this off season, or it's going to be our objective, is to balance out our team and improve our team defensively, because even our defensive core was very offensive minded. Like I said, Brody, Hamilton, Bean, and Giordano, all 4 were offensive defensemen. Those were our 4 defensemen, top 4 defensemen, excuse me. So we really want to spread that out now. We want to bring in more defensive defensemen and bring in some more defensive forwards to help out, because we were a very top heavy offensive core as well. Our top 6 was extremely elite. Our bottom 6 was really poor, and so now we're going to try and improve that. We haven't touched our forward group at all. In fact, we haven't touched anybody on our team. I do have a roster penciled out here in front of me, and I'll go through it here in a second. Yeah, we haven't touched anything yet. Like I said, we've just done the re-signing phase. We're here in July 1. In the last video, we just looked at our options, looked at what was possibly available. Since then, I have gone through all the teams and looked at some possible trade targets. We'll get to that in a second. But obviously, the first thing that we have to start with, that we said in the last video, is get rid of Mark Giordano. So you'll remember in the last video that we went through every team and tried to trade Giordano. We retained $1 million of his salary. We tried trading, boosting him up for draft picks, adding draft picks, and tried just getting him for a 7th, and nothing was working. So I just went like completely crazy, and I just tried every scenario, and I finally did find a team that was willing to take him, and we'll get to that here in a second. But just quickly, let's take a look quickly at our roster. Again, if you have not been following along, again, I can't show you the lines that I've penciled out, and I can't show you them on the screen because they do not allow you to show you the edited lines, but we'll just do our best here very quickly to look at. So our top line does consist of Johnny Gaudreau, 91 on the left wing, John Tavares, 91 in the middle, Blake Wheeler right now, 85 on the right wing, Matthew Tkachuk, 87 on our second line left wing, Sean Monahan, 88 in our second center line, James the Real Deal Neal is still on our right wing on the right side there at 84. Again, that top 6 is very elite. That's a very elite top 6, but again, the thing we got to be paying attention here is salary. They eat up a lot of salary. You can see the numbers there. That is an incredible amount of our salary cap just in our top 6. So we're probably looking at trading either Wheeler or Neal just to balance out our top 6 and add some more to our depth. Because you can see here right now what we've got is Eric Holla penciled in our third line center, 82 Andrew Mangiapane, left wing, 78, and that is it for our third line. Fourth line, we just have Mark Jankowski, 77. So you can see we've only got 3 players to fill out 6 final spots on our bottom 6. So we really need to do some work down here. When we look at our depth players, Garnet Hathaway, Dylan Dubé, these guys are too far out from being an NHL ready. These are more of our AHL team down here. So we really don't have a lot to work with here. That's why I'm thinking maybe trade one of these guys who are making like $6 million and maybe split that up and add some more depth down here. But then we would be short a right winger on one of our top 2 lines. But we have to make sacrifices here because this top 6 has not got it done for 2 straight years. Like I said, we lost the Stanley Cup for 2 straight years. We have to split this top 6 up slightly. Take away some of the top-heavy offense and maybe spread it out, like I said, down here in our bottom 6. So that's a quick look at our forward group. A quick look here at our defensive group. As mentioned, Dougie Hamilton and TJ Brody right in our top pairing, 89 and 87 respectively. Jake Bean and Mark Giordano, 86 and 80 respectively. This is why we're trading Giordano. He's 80 overall. He still has 2 years remaining at 6.75, and we really could use that 6.75 to bring in another defenseman who is actually capable of being a top 4 defenseman, because obviously Giordano at 80 is nowhere close to being a top 4 defenseman anymore in this league, and especially for a team that wants to win the Stanley Cup right now, we cannot be working with a Mark Giordano for another 2 years at 80 overall. So we are moving on from our captain, that is for sure, but we're going to do that here next coming up. But just quickly looking at our depth, we do have a lot of depth when it comes to defensemen. Unlike Ford, we actually do have a lot of depth. Brooks Orpik is still on the team, 78 overall right now. There is Oliver Chillington, also 78, Tyler Wotherspoon, 77, Brett Kulak, 77, Slater Kuku, 77, Yusuf Valimaki could turn pro, 76, and Rasmus Anderson, 76. So lots of depth defensemen there. Basically, the final 2 spots will be filled up by, 2, 4, 6, 7 guys here to fill up the final 2 spots. So we have a lot of depth. I mean, the other guys that don't make it team will obviously be in the AHL, but we have lots of guys that I'm comfortable putting in as depth defensemen. The other thing, though, is about Brooks Orpik, is I wouldn't mind trading him. He also does carry a salary of $1.9 million. We could also free that up and use that to bring in a depth forward instead, because we have so many depth defenseman. Right now, if I was penciling this in, if we did trade Giordano and Brooks Orpik, probably would be going with Oliver Chillington and Tyler Wotherspoon as our bottom pairing then the NHL, and then have Kulak, Kuku, Valimaki, and Rasmus Anderson as extras. But the other thing about these 2 guys, Valimaki and Anderson, is their trade chips. Look at their trade value. Trade value right here. They do have the best trade value other than our top 3 defensemen. So we could use them as trade chips, and we might need to use them. Now, I don't want to trade both of them. They're about the same type of defenseman. So let's just take a look quickly. Yusuf Valimaki, he hasn't panned out the way we were expecting him to. He's had a couple years pro now. Hasn't done too much down there. 21 years of age. I mean, he still is extremely young, but he has had, I think, 3 or 4 seasons that he's gone pro, and he really hasn't done. He had 2 seasons. Okay, 2 seasons, but he hasn't grown what we expect. Like, I expected him to be mid 80s by now, close to mid 80s at least low 80s, and he's not there yet. Now, maybe if he had NHL time, that he would grow significantly. Still has medium top 4 potential. But 76 right now at 21 years of age. Rasmus Anderson is also 76 at 23 years of age, so he's 2 years older, and he's had some NHL time, but he also hasn't grown. Medium 4, top 4 potential, for both of them. So really, I think they're pretty much the same player. One's left shot, one's right shot, but there's not too much difference besides the 2 years in age difference in terms of Anderson being 2 years older. Anderson also does carry a higher cap hit. Both have 1 year remaining. So, I mean, they're pretty much the same player. Valimaki does have the slight edge in trade value, but maybe we move on from one of these guys, and because we have so much depth down there. Brooks Orpik, we want to get his contract off as well as Giordano's, but maybe we use one of these guys as chips. So we have options when it comes to defense. We just need to, and it's our biggest priority, is we need to ship Giordano and his contract out, even if it means retaining $1 million off his salary. It's better that we have $5.75 million to work with than having 0, and we need to add another top 4 defenseman. I'm very comfortable with these top 3. We could add a top defensive defenseman because, like I said, all these guys are offensive defensemen. I want to add a number one defensive defenseman in our top four. I think that will be the perfect balance that we need, and that might be the piece that puts us over the top. That's why I think it's the number one priority is to bring in a top defensive defenseman, and obviously he'll be using the same salary that Giordano has now because we'll just be shipping out Giordano and we'll be bringing in a top four defensive defenseman. So that's our biggest priority. Then, like I said, down here, depth, I'm not too worried about it. But we could use Valimaki or Anderson as trade chips and probably get Brooks or Pick's salary off the table as well. That would be good. And then we could use that for depth players. When we come to goaltending, John Gibson is our goalie. Obviously 90 overall. 90 overall, yeah, medium elite still. 26 years of age. He'll probably plateau after this season. Still, to have a goalie at 90 is pretty good. One of the best goalies in the league. Anton Khudobin is our next best goalie because we did lose Michael Northworth, who was 86, was demanding a very high contract. So he hit the free agent market. I think he's demanding like $5 million a season or something like crazy like that. Obviously, we can't be paying our backup that much, especially considering Gibson is making $7.6 million. But Khudobin is 78. That's not a really good backup. We did have Khudobin 2 seasons ago as our backup, and it did not work well with him. We need a reliable backup to come in and play behind Gibson, especially in the second half of the season when we need to give Gibson some rest. So I wouldn't mind adding a backup goalie for the NHL. But again, that might be easier said than done because, again, look at our cap space, what we have to work with. Look at all the other pieces we have to add in terms of our defense and offense. We have a lot of work to do. So this is not going to be easy. Like I said, welcome to episode 39. This is going to be a very, very hard episode. But we are going to do our best here to reconstruct this team the best we can. I don't think it's going to work out perfect the way we want it to, but if we could at least, add the pieces we need, and hopefully, our team will look somewhat good heading into next season. I just want to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals and win a Stanley Cup. I mean, we've been so close for 2 straight years, 2 Western Conference titles in a row, but no Stanley Cups to show for, and that's just not good. At the end of the day, when we fall short of the Stanley Cup, that is our goal, and it's just not good to win the West and not win the Cup. So we have to find a way to maybe balance out our team here in this offseason and hopefully win the Stanley Cup next season. So that's our goal. It's not going to be easy, like I said, but we have to do it. So first things first, first order of business here in the offseason, like I said here, now that it's July 1, we can make trades, is to move on from Mark Giordano. Like I said, in between the last video, I went through all the teams and tried to find anybody that was willing to take Giordano, and it ended up that I was able to find one team, and that team is the Florida Panthers. Oops, not Colorado. Where's Florida? There's Florida. So they can make it work, 6.75, and they were willing to take on Giordano. Now, I think I had to retain $1 million of his salary, if I'm not mistaken, but I believe what made it go through is I took back a skater here. So I took back this guy right here, Gustafson. I'm pretty sure. So let me just see here, because I don't think they wanted to do it for draft picks. Let's put this guy on here. So basically, I took this guy back, but I believe I did have to retain $1 million. So first, we'll try it without the retaining, it's rejected. We just don't think it's worth taking on. So we're going to fix that by retaining $1 million. Like I said, if we have to pay 5.75, if we have to pay... if we free up 5.75, it's better than freeing up nothing. So I would obviously like to get his entire contract off the table, but even if we have to retain $1 million for the next 2 years, that's not too bad. So did this make it go through? Giordano retaining $1 million for this Gustafson guy, and it's accepted. Yeah, so it did go through. So this was huge for us. Just getting Giordano's contract off the table is absolutely massive for us. That's huge. We took back this Gustafson guy. He's a depth forward, 76. Again, I wouldn't be penciling him in as a NHL forward, so I don't think that really helps us. But I mean, we can flip him. Where is he here? Did I skip him? Where did he go? What was he, like 76? I don't even know where he went. He might be an older player as well. You know what? He wasn't even 70s. He was like way down there. I don't even know where he went. I don't even see him. Okay. Well, that's weird. It doesn't matter because basically we're just taking him back so they would take Giordano's salary. But end of the day, that doesn't matter because we have taken Giordano's salary off of the table, and look at our salary cap space. We had about 1 point something million to work with. Now we have 6.075 million to work with. That's a massive start for us. Now, if we can find a way to move on from Brooks Orpik, that would be key as well. So let's try something here. Was there any teams willing to take? Was that Gustafson maybe a defenseman? Maybe he was a defenseman. I was like, yeah, he is a defenseman. Here he is. So let's take a look at him. Frederick Gustafson. Okay, so defensive defenseman, 57 overall. Yeah, so he had absolutely nothing. I mean, that's AHL at the best. Even that's probably not even AHL. But again, it's not going to matter. I think he's only got 905K for 3 years. It doesn't matter. Anyways, let's try Brooks Orpik here. Like, I don't think I tried this to see if there's any teams that were willing to take Brooks Orpik. But let's just see if there is. I mean, even if it's just for like a 7th. I can't remember if we tried this in the last video. Islanders, for example. I think the key is if you take back one of the skaters that they want. So, like, if we took back like a Paul Byron, but that doesn't help our case. You see, these guys are all making like 1.4. You know, we're trying to. Orpik's making 1.9, so we're trying to get that salary off the table. So if we take back a guy that has like absolutely nothing on his contract, so there's nobody in Ottawa. Whoops, we got to make sure there's a team that wants him. So Pittsburgh, San Jose, maybe. Nobody here. St. Louis. Just trying to find somebody here that's got very little on there. So here, give me a second. I'm just going to see if I can find a team that's willing to take Brooks Orpik. All right, welcome back. So I did find a team here that was willing to take Brooks Orpik. It happened to be his former team, the Washington Capitals. Again, we just went back and got an AHL forward back, a guy that was making like absolutely nothing. I believe he was a forward again. Oh my God, I can't even remember. I'm not even paying attention to the player I'm getting back. I just want him off of. I just want to free up that salary. So yeah, it's this guy right here, G. Sackett. So this is the guy we brought back. Again, 57 overall again. Just absolutely nothing. Not even AHL caliber. But again, 75K for 3 years is much better than 1.9 million. We're just freeing up salary cap space. And now, look at our salary cap. 7.3 to work with. So huge start to the offseason. Taking out Mark Giordano and Brooks Orpik. We have so much depth down there. Wasn't worried about that. Now we have to bring in somebody to replace Giordano. So that's huge. So we've already started off really good here, freeing up a lot of cap space. And we might be doing more of that a little bit later. But now that we have made 2 big trades, and that is to free up cap space in Giordano and Orpik, now we can go out and try and find that top 4 defensive defenseman. So you remember I said that I did go through all the teams in between videos and looked at every team and what defensemen are available, even the defensemen that teams didn't want to trade, and looked at the top defensive defensemen that we could probably go after. The number 1 top defensive defenseman is actually on the San Jose Sharks. It actually is, where are we here? All skaters. It is Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Now, Matt, like 87 overall. Look at his defensive stats there on the right side. 93 defensive awareness, 93 stick checking, 90 shot blocking. I mean, that's incredible. He is like the dream defenseman. He is perfect, 33 overall, 33 years of age, excuse me, at the left shot. This is perfect until we get to here. Salary, $7 million for the next 6 years. Now, I actually tried to make this trade go through off camera, tried to see if we could get him. Turns out we couldn't even get him. I wasn't even paying attention to his salary. I tried throwing everything. Like, I tried throwing multiple first-round picks to San Jose. Second-round picks, a third-round pick. Even, I think I threw in one of our prospect defensemen with all those picks, and San Jose still wouldn't take it. He obviously has a massive high trade value, and I'm not sure why, because he's making $7 million for the next 6 seasons. Just think about that for a second. He's 33 years of age. He's got 6 more years remaining, $7 million. This would be a worse contract in how many years from now than Mark Giordano. Again, I'm trying to keep this realistic. We're not going to be playing this franchise mode 6 years from now, but I'm just trying to keep this realistic. Would the Flames actually make this trade? Because you're still thinking of the future. You're not just thinking of winning the Stanley Cup next year. You still have to think of the future. this would be a bad contract to take on for the long term. Yes, it would help short term, but it's probably not worth the risk long term. Plus, I tried to make it work anyway, and I couldn't get him. He has an insane trade value there, so I could not get Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Doesn't matter. His contract was not looking good for me anyway. So you know what? We won't worry about Marc-Edouard Vlasic. We'll move on. And so I went through every other team. There's two top 4 defensemen. One is a defensive defenseman. One is a two-way defenseman. Both have really good defensive stats. So there's 2 of them that I think we will target now. And we'll try the first one, and he's a defensive defenseman. And it's from, what team are we with? Detroit. It's from Detroit. Yeah, is it? I gotta go by defenseman here. Yes, it is. Nicholas Hjalmarsson. So 86 overall. Defensive defenseman. This is perfect. 86. That would be a really huge ad. Again, look at his defensive stats. 91, 90, and 91. Like, that's huge. Again, also look at his physical stats. 85, 88, 85, like down the middle. 88 strength. Like, he's a physical, strong defensive defenseman. This is exactly what we need, is Nicholas Hjalmarsson, excuse me. Now, he also does have a pretty high trade value. Not as high as Vlasic's. I wonder we can make this work. Also, in terms of his contract, 5.38 for the next 3 years. Not too bad. Yes, he's 33. That will take him till he's 36, but I'm much more comfortable paying him 5.38 for the next 3 years than Vlasic, paying him $7 million for the next 6 years. So that's a little bit better to stomach, and I think this is the first guy we'll go after. The other guy, just quickly in case Hjalmarsson does not work, and I really hope it does, is with the Rangers, it's obviously Ryan McDonagh. Now, they also want to get rid of McDonagh. Detroit doesn't want to get rid of Hjalmarsson, but the Rangers do want to get rid of McDonagh. Now, he's a two-way defender, also 86, but again, his stats, 90, 90, and 88. Not as good as Hjalmarsson, but still pretty good. He's also pretty good in the physical category. Pretty good all around. He's just a pretty good all-around defenseman, but he is more of a defensive defenseman, despite being listed as a two-way defender. So that wouldn't be bad. Other than that, there wasn't too many good options out there. McDonagh and Hjalmarsson were definitely our 2 best options without overpaying and getting the right piece that we need. So let's try Nicholas Hjalmarsson. Let's see if we can make this work. I really hope we can, because this would be the perfect piece. Other than Marc-Edouard Vlasic, in terms of just fitting in on our roster, Nicholas Hjalmarsson will be the perfect fit for us. Veteran defenseman, defensive defenseman. I mean, you can't go wrong right here. This really could balance out our defensive core next season and really give us, it will give us an elite top 4 once again, but it could be that piece that puts us over the top. Just the fact that he's a defensive defenseman. So anyways, that is massive. So let's see if we can try and make this trade work. Now, looking right off the bat here at our defense, they're not wanting either Valimaki or Anderson, and that's what could have pushed this trade over the top. So that's not good, because these are the guys with the trade value that we needed to possibly use as trade chips. So what are they looking for in draft picks? Anything? Oh, they're not even looking at, so this could be very hard to do, because they're not wanting anything. They do want Hadobin. That's not going to do anything, though. They want very little when it comes to players. They want a defenseman back, basically, if they get Hjalmarsson, and we don't have anything even close, because we're not touching these top 3 guys. I could do Oliver Chillington, but that's not even close. They don't want Anderson or Valimaki, and that's what will put it over the top. So this is not good. It's not good at all. I can try throwing, I know they don't want it, but I can try throwing in draft picks here. Obviously, it's going to take a first-round pick, so we're just looking at next year's draft now. We have all our picks next year, and one extra pick from Columbus, a third-round pick, and then we got all of our picks in 2022. So I wouldn't mind putting in a next year's first. If it meant bringing in Hjalmarsson along with Oliver Chillington. That's still not going to be enough, so let's just let's hit the button here. Yeah, so rejected. They're not even interested in what we're sending them. That's the first. That's not good, because I really thought we could have made this work somehow. And they don't want any players except for those top 3 defensemen. They're not giving us much room to work with at all. This is not good. They want Hadobin, but what's Hadobin going to do? They would have too many goalies anyway. They're not looking to give up any goalies. We could swap goalies, but this Bishop guy, but it's not even going to matter, because it's not going to push it through. So this is not good. How bad do we want Hjalmarsson? Ooh, I wonder if I don't want to, no. I wonder if I put in a first and a second from the 2022 draft. I mean, we're really going to have to tip the scale. This is still not even close. I mean, look at the value Chalmerson has. Shit. Okay. Chillington a first and a second. Still not getting it done. They're not even interested in that to begin with. Oh, I don't want to do two firsts. That's just, I mean, two firsts? Ugh, I don't know. Let's just see what it looks like with two firsts, not the second. Two firsts. And Chillington. Like, two firsts for Chalmerson? That's just crazy to think of. Like, I can't even believe that. You no way you would do this in real life. But, like I said, that could be the piece that puts us over the top. Shit. So that's not looking good. Shit. Okay. You know what? Let's take a look at McDonough. He's our next best option. I really wanted Jomerson, but let's take a look at McDonough because this might be easier to do because they do want to trade McDonough, so that's a huge start for us to begin with. The fact that they want to move McDonough, his trade value is about the same as Jomerson, but they might want more back. I guess not. Spoke too soon. So they don't really want anybody else back either. Shit. Really, that's not good. Draft picks, please want draft picks. They do. They want draft picks. So this is, oh, okay. We'll have to go a first, excuse me, and a second pick. That's still not close enough to making this go through. Like, this is where we really needed to use one of those defensive prospects as trade chips. So let's go to defenseman again. See if we can put it over the top. I think Valimaki and Anderson. I think I want to keep Valimaki. So let's try putting Rasmus Anderson in there. A first, a second, and Rasmus Anderson is not bad. Like, that's really not bad. For Ryan McDonough, again, 33 years of age as well. 31. So he's slightly younger. But still, that's not a bad trade. I mean, for both teams, I think. But we're not close, I don't think. I think they still have a slight edge here, but we'll try this trade. See what they're saying. Rejected. Yeah, you aren't where you need to be in terms of value. I mean, I really don't want to do two first. I mean, that's just crazy. But I mean, 31 years of age. I mean, he's not a defensive defenseman, but he does have nice defensive stats and does have nice physical stats. Like, I mean, I don't know. Geez, I'm just trying to think here. Like, do I gamble two firsts? Let's see here. Like, will this push it through? If we did two firsts and Rasmus Anderson. You know what? I'm going to try it. I hate to give up two first-round picks for McDonough. But this might, like, this is going to be our big move of the offseason. We're going to, after this, we're just going to try and bring in depth forwards. You know, it's too bad they didn't want a guy like Neal because we could trade James Neal in this trade to bring back McDonough. But let's try two firsts and Rasmus Anderson. This is absolutely crazy. This should work realistically, but I don't think it's going to. I think they want us to sweeten it. But let's try this. Oh, it's accepted. Okay. So, yeah, we've accepted the offer. So, two first-round picks and Rasmus frickin' Anderson. So, we do lose one of our depth defensemen. We keep Oliver Chillington, which is good. We do lose Anderson, which is okay. And we bring in Ryan McDonough. So, this is huge. Wow, okay, but we just screw ourselves for the next 2 years. We don't have a first round pick, so we really can't afford to trade seconds or thirds. Maybe one third I could use, but I don't want to touch top picks now for the next couple seasons because you don't want to put yourselves down that short. But Ryan McDonough is a Calgary Flame. That is a huge ad. He comes to the Western Conference champs. Huge. He's got better trade value than Jake Bean. That's surprising because Bean's 22 years of age and is also 86. McDonough's 31 years of age, 86. Bean should have way higher value than McDonough, but that doesn't matter. So there is a look at our new look top four. That is looking good. 89, 87, 86, and 86. That is a top four. That is really good to see. And again, McDonough is not bad. I mean, really good defensive stats despite being a two-way defenseman. And 2 years left at 5.6, that's manageable. At 31 years of age, that'll take him until he's 33. And obviously, that's not too bad at all. So 5.6, that's not bad. I'm liking that. That's a huge ad to replace Mark Giordano, is Ryan McDonough. I do wish we could have got Jomerson, but I think McDonough will work just fine. His defensive stats weren't that much lower than than Jomerson's to begin with. But anyways, we made it work in terms of salary, and we made it work in terms of a realistic trade, what they wanted. It did take 2 first-round picks and a pretty good prospect defenseman, but we did make it work. So that's good to see. Happy with that. So that is our first big piece here of the off season. We have brought in Ryan McDonough. Again, if you're wondering why we haven't touched the free agency, is because we looked at this in the last video. Free agency does not look good this season. Ryan McDonough. Jake Muzzin is the top defenseman at 85, but he's not defensive defenseman. He is a two-way defender. He has some okay defensive stats. McDonough had better defensive stats, so McDonough is the better option, but he's also looking for $5 million for the next 4 years at 31 years of age, and there's 5 teams in on him. It'd be very hard to get Jake Muzzin. You'd probably have to give him close to $6 million for what he's asking for to get him. So we didn't even try. And then when we look at the other guys here, I mean, there are some options. Again, when it comes to let's go forwards. When it comes to forwards, there are some options here, but nothing really good. I mean, the only guys I would even look at are Vanek, Marchessault, or Hansel. Other than that, I mean, there are depth guys down here we can fill in our fourth line with, so that's good. But in terms of forwards, to fill in on our third line, because now, again, looking at our third line, Andrew Mangiapane, 78, Eric Halla, 82. We need a right winger down there. But again, these guys are asking for quite a bit. So Jonathan Marchessault is a right winger, but he's asking for $3.9 million. So, I mean, that is a lot of money to be asking for. Almost $4 million for a guy on your third line. Again, that does not help our case at all. 82 overall. Like that's just not good for $4 million. Playmaker. I mean, how much salary? Oh man, we only have 2.8 to work with now that we brought in McDonough. We only do have 2.8 to work with, so we almost have $3 million. So we wouldn't even be able to afford Marchessault. So that's why, I'm thinking here is we might have to trade a guy like James Neal, because a guy like Neal or Wheeler, like somebody in our top 6 who's eating up a lot of money, we have to maybe do that to spread out our offense. Again, looking at the last couple teams that we played in the playoffs the last 2 years, they didn't have a super elite offensive core, not even close to what we had. And our second line really underperformed last season. We can afford to get rid of one of these guys. I didn't want to touch Tkachuk or Monahan. I mean, they have massive trade value, but they're still super young. Definitely don't think I would touch Monahan because he's our number 2 centerman, and you need depth down the middle. You need to be really strong down the middle. But Tkachuk, is the one, but he's 22 years of age and 87 overall and still medium elite. This guy could take off. It would be a massive, but we could add depth pieces. That's the other thing here. So, it's hard. It's hard. 22 years of age. He's making 6.6. He had a really bad last couple of seasons, but he's listed as a first line left winger, medium elite. What happens if this guy just takes off? I want to look at his stats here. 39 points this season was pretty poor from just 8 goals and 39 points there. And the year before that, 49 points. So that was a lot better, 17 goals. The year before that was his best year. 59 points, 27. This is what he should be doing every year as a top left winger in the league. And then he just dropped off the last 2 seasons. He's gone down 10 points each season. Does he bounce back? That's just 2 seasons in which he went downhill. Even look at his plus minuses. He went to 0 last year in terms of plus minus from a plus 25. He had a really bad season. Considering everybody else on our team did really well, he was probably our worst player in terms of our entire forward group, being at 0 and 39 points, especially for a top 6 guy. So, it's hard because what happens if he bounces right back up to this 59-point guy that he can be? That's why it's so hard. 22 years of age, he's got so much potential still. I don't want to trade him, but look at the value he could bring back for us. This is the problem though. Do we is our window closing? Do we have much time left here to win a Stanley Cup? Sometimes you need a guy like Tkachuk. Now, this would obviously damage our second line if we lost Tkachuk, but I'm wondering 6.6. I mean, for what we could bring in for that 6.6, for what we could bring in for his trade value alone. I mean, I don't. That's a hard one. I didn't even think about that. Like I was thinking maybe trading Neil or Wheeler, who have a significant less trade value, but still, you can see there's Kachuk there. There's Wheeler and Neil. Their value is not even half of Kachuk's. Neil is not even probably is just a quarter. Excuse me, of what Kachuk's is. But they're also making 6.5 and 6. I mean, I think the one we would trade, because Wheeler had really good chemistry with Gaudreau and Tavares, I think the one would be Neil. And if you did trade Neil, you'd need to bring in another top right winger. You would need to bring in 3 right wingers, because we still need, basically, if you took Neil off of our team, you need 3 more right wingers and 1 more left winger to fill out our team. So, I mean, that's not going to be easy to bring in 3 more right wingers and a left winger, 4 forwards for one. That wouldn't be easy. His like for Kachuk, you probably could because his trade value was so high. But yeah, so you know what? Give me a second here. I'm gonna go through because I didn't really go through the teams in terms of forwards. Give me a second. I just want to see what we have here in terms of. All right, so we are back here. I just went through all the teams and just looked at all of our different trade options that we had with players. And there's really only one team and one player that makes sense. When I'm looking here to trade James Neal, I'm looking at bringing back a guy to play on our second line because obviously he will be replacing James Neal. So I'm looking back to bring back, a second line player, but I didn't want anybody that was really below 83. And that being because I didn't want like anybody below 83 playing on our second line there with Kachuk, who's an 87, Monahan, who's an 88. So I wanted to bring back a guy who is at least 83 or higher. So it was really hard to do because I was trying to find a guy pretty much that was the same overall as James Neal, but at the same time has a manageable contract. A guy that is obviously making significant less than what James Neal is, and would still fit into our top 6. And I actually found the perfect replacement for James Neal. So it's actually here on the Arizona Coyotes. It's a perfect match because the Coyotes want to take on James Neal, and the trade value is actually in our favor. So it's when you go to the right wingers, it's the top right winger right here, Christian Fischer. He's 83 overall, so he's just 1 below James Neal. But take a look there at his potential. Medium top 6, only 23 years of age, which means even though he's listed as a third line scorer right now, he's 83 right now. He could easily get to 84 in this upcoming season. So pretty much he will be basically replacing James Neal with the exact same overall. Because I mean, if we play this guy in our top 6, we give him all the special teams minutes as well. He's easily going to grow. I mean, he's only 23 years of age. He'll probably even grow higher than 84 in the next couple seasons. He'll probably get up to like an 80, 85, 86 if we're lucky on our right side. So we're actually bringing back, not only are we bringing back a guy to replace James Neal now, who pretty much has the same overall, but he's going to even be better than Neal in the long run. And when you look at his contract here, he's only got 3.27 for 2 years, so it's about half of what James Neal had there. And again, when we put him on the trade screen here, the trade value is significantly in our favor. So it was actually a lot harder than I thought. I went through every team and all the different winger options, and there's actually a lot of guys like James Neal that have a high salary, and they're about around the same as Neal, but this was really the only guy that had a lower salary that was about the same as James Neal in terms of overall, is growing and getting better, and actually had a low trade value to make this work. So really, there was a lot, I filtered through a lot of different players, and Fisher, it makes the most sense for us, I think, on the right side. So we're gonna make this trade happen. But like I said, you can see that the trade value is significantly still in our favor, which means we could probably get someone else back. Now, I looked at the rest of their forwards to see if there was anything else we could get back, because we obviously, if we bring in Christian Fischer here for James Neal, we still need 2 more right wingers and a left winger. So we still need 3 bottom 6 forwards to complete our team for next season. But I looked at all these guys down here, and you look at their salary down here, we just can't bring in anybody else with a lot of salary. And guys like Nick Cousins, 78 overall, I think we can do slightly better than that. Adrian Kempe, 1.3, excuse me. I mean, that's not bad, but I think we can get guys for a little bit less via free agency. Kempe does have low top 6 potential, 78. I mean, we can try Kempe to see if he could come in with Christian Fischer. If not, we can get a draft pick. So let's This would still give us about $4 million to work with, approximately, heading into free agency if we did this, which would give us $4 million to fill in the last 2 spots on our team, on our bottom 6, which isn't bad. So let's see if we can make this work. Fisher and Kempe for James Neal, and it's going to be rejected. So Kempe has just a little bit more value, so that's not going to work, but that's okay. We can try and go after a draft pick here. So the good thing here is they want to give away draft picks. We're obviously not going to get a first. We did give away 2 firsts in the Ryan McDonough trade, but we won't get a first. We probably won't get a second, but let's try a third. I think we can get a third and Fisher back for James Neal, so let's see if this goes through, and it does, so that is huge. I definitely didn't think we were going to get higher than a third-round pick back. Clearly, Adrian Kempe had better than a third round value back. But the main thing is we did bring in Christian Fisher to replace James Neal. Now take a look at our salary cap there on the left side, $6 million to work with approximately, to fill out the final 3 spots in our bottom 6. So that's a lot of money to work with. So I'm happy with that. So now that we have completely reconstructed our team, now that we've kind of did all our big moves there, a lot of big trades, we can jump into free agency and we can just fill in those final 3 spots down there with the 5.59. So about 5.6 million is what we have to work with. That's not bad. We can take a shot at some of these guys down here. See if any of these guys are interested. So when we look at forwards here, obviously 3.9 is quite a bit to be paying, but Jonathan Marchessault is 82. Like, I've liked Marchessault. I like what he brought. Hanzo would not be a bad option either. He's a centerman, but probably could pencil in on one of our wings. Here's Jonathan Marchessault, playmaker on the right side. This guy actually is really good. I was looking at his stats earlier. Last year he only played 36 games, so he only put 22 points. But before that, he put up 59 and 82, 67, 70, and 79, 51. So he's constantly like somewhere between a 50 to a 60 point guy when he's playing a full season. And I know he was probably on a top 6 role in these years, but even if he could put half of that on our third line, I mean, that would be pretty good. So I really like Marchessault. He is asking for about almost $4 million. We do have about 5.6 to work with. I wouldn't mind taking. The thing about our team and our forward is we do need to improve our depth down there. So we need to bring in guys that can continue to improve our bottom 6. Our bottom 6 was just too weak last year. We were too top heavy. I think by balancing it out this year, we might be better off. So you know what? I'm willing to pay Marchessault what he's asking for here. Florida's obviously interested, so in order to get him, we'll probably have to up that. But I'm not going to go over 4 mil. So I'll go 4 mil for 3 years. See if that is enough, but if not, I mean, that's extremely high for a third liner. But again, if it means improving our depth, if that's what it takes, then we can do it, because we do have a little bit of cap room to work with now. So let's try Marchessault at 4 mil for 3 years. See if that goes through. If not, we'll try and take a shot at Hanzo maybe. I know Hanzo's a center, but he could probably play the left side there. And if not, we got lots of options out here. There's a lot of teams from Gagner all the way, or a lot of players from Sam Gagner all the way down that have no teams interested in them. So we definitely could take a shot at any of these guys here to fill out the final couple spots of our roster. But let's take a shot first at Jonathan Marchessault, and then we'll go from there. So let's advance a couple days here. For the first time, we're advancing a couple days here in free agency to see if we can get Marchessault. So here's an incoming trade. They want Juuso Välimäki for Justin Barron. I don't think we're going to make this trade, mostly because of the salary that Justin Barron is asking for. What is he even at? 83. I mean, that wouldn't be bad. That would be a huge add to our depth defense. But again, he's making 4.8. We cannot afford Justin Barron at 4.8. That would put us right up against the cap. We still need to fill in the final 3 spots. So as a depth defenseman, I'd rather roll with Juuso Välimäki than Justin Barron. I know he's significantly less, and Välimäki is one of our top prospects too. So we will decline that trade. Keep on going here. See if Jonathan Marchessault accepts, and he has rejected. He's decided to go back with his former team, the Florida Panthers, who were offering him a little bit more money. Here's an offer coming in. They want our third and Gabriel Jones for Jespers Fast, so that could fix one of our problems there. So let's take a look at this trade here. Jespers Fast, who is a right winger, so that'd be good for us. 80 overall. He is a sniper. It's not too bad. Third line right winger. He's making, what, 2.1? That's manageable. They want a third-round pick and Gabriel Jones. Our third-round pick in 2020. I just want to take a look here at our draft, because we did bring back a draft pick in that James Neal trade just now. So yeah, we actually have 3 third-round picks because we brought back the one in the Neal trade with the Coyotes, excuse me, and we have the Columbus one as well. So I mean, that wouldn't be bad. Maybe like we do have 3 thirds. Our third and Gabriel Jones for Jesper's Fast. That's pretty equal down there. You can see on the trade value. Gabriel Jones was not going to fit in our team going forward. 562 overall as he was our 4th round pick in 2018. Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to do that trade. A 3rd round pick and Gabriel Jones for Jesper's Fast. He's a good 3rd line right winger. That's exactly what we need to come in on our right wing side. 29 points last year. That's not bad. 18 points the year before. When he was healthy, 21.30. Yeah, so he can be counted on to be close to 30 points. When he's playing a full season, that's not bad for a 3rd liner. Let's do this trade. It will fix one of our spots on the right side. So let's accept this trade. And now we just need to fill in 2 more spots here. So I'm going to go through this really quickly because this episode's going on pretty long here. So let's just get up here to back to free agency, excuse me, and we'll make an offer on 2 more guys here and see what we have to work with. So a lot of depth guys down here that we can take a shot at. I really like Andrew Cogliano. I'm thinking maybe we take a shot at him. How much do we have to work with? $4 million now. Let's take a shot at Cogliano. I like his defensive stats. I was taking a look at him earlier. I'll show you really quickly, but I like those defensive stats. That'd be a really nice 3rd line left winger. We could bump Mangiapane down. So let's offer him a contract. We're gonna have to up it a little bit though. Let's give him 2.5. I could pay him 2.5 as a 3rd line left winger for 2 years. He's asking for 2.1. So let's try Cogliano. And then we would just need to fill in a right winger on our 4th line. So even guys like Ennis, but I'm looking for now somebody that's quite cheap here on the, we could try Spencer Fu. We could try bringing him back. Nobody's interested in him yet. We know what he is, 2.1 for 3 years. I could give him that. So let's try Fu. Let's see if these guys accept Cogliano and Fu. That would round out our team. That would be the perfect 2 pieces to round out our team. So let's sim a couple days here. Let's see if that is enough for those 2 players. And then I'd be pretty happy with what we've got. So let's just keep going here. Come on, Fu. Come on, Cogliano. We need you guys here. Still going. They're taking a while to make their decision here. Alright, so Cogliano has accepted. He's coming in as our 3rd line left winger. That is huge. He was happy. And Spencer Fu's accepted. So after rejecting our offer in the re-signing phase and saying, hey, I want to test the free agency market, I think I'm better than you guys, he clearly found out that nobody else was interested in him, and that Spencer Fu should come back to where he had the best success, to the team that gave him the shot, and that is the Calgary Flames. So we're going to end this episode here because it's gone on pretty long, but there is our team. We are now complete. That is a really good way. That is a really good off season for us. Bringing in, taking out the contract of Mark Giordano and Brooks Orpik, bringing in the pieces like Ryan McDonough and Christian Fischer, and then adding the depth pieces of Andrew Cogliano, bringing back Spencer Fu, and who's the other guy we just got? I forget. But we've rounded out our team pretty well. Jesper's Fast from the Rangers, excuse me, that was our other player. I think we rounded our team really well. I think we achieved our goal of making our defensive core more strong defensively with the acquisition of Ryan McDonough into our top 4. And I think we rounded out our top 4. I really like Christian Fischer. I think he has potential to turn into James Neal within this next up-and-coming season. And I think we've improved the depth down there in our bottom 6. This is giving us a strong team going into next year. It's a little different than what we're used to. We're not top-heavy anymore. We still are, but not as top-heavy anymore. And we're a little bit more defensive-based with the acquisitions of guys like McDonough and Cogliano. Those are really defensive-based guys that we've added. Hopefully that is enough to put us over the top. But we'll end this episode here. We'll pick everything up in episode 40 with the rest of this off season, which will be really quick, and then we'll get right into training camp and the preseason, and the regular season is right around the corner. So that'll do it for episode number 39.